It's all about Paul Buchanan. And that's exactly how Paul Buchanan wants it to be. He wants it to be all about him. And as I read through the 40-odd pages and assessed all that had gone before, that had led us to the point where the Supreme Court was asked to make a decision, I said to myself, the 7,700 and odd people who voted for him to become MP in 2011, and the 4,980 people who voted for him on September 3 when he lost to the Prime Minister in West Central St. Andrew. Does anybody feel embarrassed by Paul Buchanan? Those who supported him as a sensible man, because that's how he postured to be. I was one of them who was fooled. Not that I had a vote in the constituency, I don't. But I took him as a sensible man, a man of substance. They must be saying, boy, what did I vote for in 2011 to represent my views in the House of Representatives? And those who, not out of any partisan consideration, gave him the endorsement on election day, September 3. I wonder if you feel bad this morning that you attempted to send someone who was prone to idiotic endeavors to the House of Representatives. And no, I'm not saying Paul Buchanan is an idiot. Absolutely not. I'm saying that what he has done is idiotic. This man lives not in the world. He lives in a room in his own head, where he's the greatest politician ever. He is the most garlanded problem solver in the history of humankind. And he can't bear to exist in a little country like Jamaica and not be a member of the House of Representatives. So he has to be among the heavy hitters. And so he tried. He asked the people the question. They said no. And rather than do like what most people have done before him, submit the evidence immediately to the authorities, he, like a squirrel preparing for the winter, hoarded all of these chestnuts, just hoarding, saving up all of the grievances, so he could then go to the constituted authority and ask them to effectively cause the election to be run over. Because I can just hear him now and picture him talking to not just friends, but people who would give him the audience to say, listen, I only just come into the seat. I am going to beat wholeness, and this is how I'm going to do it. And the only way wholeness can beat me is if wholeness them thief the election. The only thing that can prevent me from sitting in Gordon House is fraud and skullduggery. So he put that out there in the universe. And so when he got his backside handed to him on election day, he already had the excuse pre-positioned. So he just rallied back to that and say, see, me tell you, don't me tell you say if me lose. Such and such and such and such cause it. Well, watch the style, you know, court. Through the constituted authority, and if I don't get the justice there, I'll go into the highest level. So now that the Supreme Court, Paul Buchanan, has told you to go and find something to do, where are you going to go next? You're going to go to Earl's Court in St. Andrew, uptown? You're going to go to the food court at Sovereign? You're going to go to Glendon Court in Old Harbour? Where else are you going to go with this charade masquerading as serious business? And for those people who have never interacted with the court and look on and wonder, how is it that a fool's errand can be essayed and end up all the way in the Supreme Court. Normally people send people on a fool's errand. Paul Buchanan will go down in history as perhaps the first man to send himself on a fool's errand. And they'll say, then how the justice system stays so where something like this can end up all the way at the Supreme Court? The judge then busy. Look how many cases the judges have to deal with. Look how much time they could commit to worthwhile endeavor. How this reach there? Well, it's a feature of the democracy, is what I would say. You are entitled, it is your right to take these matters as far as you can in the pursuit of justice if you feel that wrongs have been committed against you. And if you can afford a good lawyer, as Paul Buchanan obviously can because he hired Hugh Wildman, if you can hire a good lawyer to take it as far as it can go, it is just you exercising your right, notwithstanding the utter stupidness in what you are doing. And yes, some people say, but George, it's still an abuse of the court process. Yes, but the democracy allows itself for things like this to happen. And the Supreme Court, the justices, had a job to do. And they did it decisively to make it clear that, listen, this is a waste of everybody's time. And it's a waste of your money. Go and find something to do. If Mr. Buchanan has time on his hands, I don't know, maybe he could take up crocheting or something. But clearly you need something to sit down and commit yourself to doing. And amid all this, the monies that you have spent, Mr. Buchanan, I hope you've paid Hugh Wildman in full already. You don't feel a way that you've wasted so much of your resources. You don't have 20 people, at least 20 people in West Central St. Andrew who voted for you this time around. You couldn't use the money and tile out to their house. You couldn't help build a veranda. You couldn't fix up a little roof. You couldn't set up a little stall for somebody. You couldn't pay a school fee or a few. You couldn't buy 2 shoes with the money. I know you started this madness before Melissa hit. But how you feel now, writing a big check to Hugh Wildman, when you could use that money to buy something to send down west, to go down a Westmoreland with, to go down a Hanover with, to buy something and send to somebody in Trelawney. I ask all the time, when we embark on these mad escapades, do we take ourselves really seriously? What kind of delusion can you be under to do what Paul Buchanan has done in the name of justice? And if I were you, Paul Buchanan, I would seriously start to assess my friends. Have those around you just stood by while you have gone to make a fool of yourself? Has nobody said to you, Bucky, think if you left the one here alone, I think if you just move on with life? Has nobody said to you, Sir P, I don't really think nothing here, so you can just, just move on. Make it stay with it. Or have people said that to you? And you're plowed on, convinced that you are the man who's going to end the reign of wholeness in West Central St. Andrew. And you are so good as a candidate. You are so enticing a prospect. You're such a beautiful candidate that the only way wholeness could have conquered you would have been to cheat. For those who didn't read what the court ruled on yesterday, a part of it said that a part of his grounds for complaining, for launching the challenge was that his supporters were intimidated from turning up at voting centers because there was loud music being played by rival supporters on the path to the polling station. That's the equivalent of saying that on any given day, someone belches in Jamaica. It's a matter of course. Of course, supporters will play loud music close enough to a polling station to not be breaking the law. I'm sure your supporters were playing music at a point in time as well. Or maybe throughout the whole day. And nothing wrong with that. How can you cite that as having a chilling effect on your supporters going out to vote? Then you said there were men in masks out there with where the loud music was played, and this intimidated my supporters. I mean, a man in a mask in 2025 is different from a man in a mask in 2019. In between time, we've had mask mandates mandating us to wear masks. So kind of different, Bucky. What kind of masks were they wearing? Is it the mask that we call balaclava? Were they balaclavas? Were they the kind of masks that people wore during COVID? What kind of mask? And the fact of men in masks, music playing, them enjoying themselves, I suspect they were in green shirts. You're saying that prevented people who wanted to go inside a polling station where those people weren't. That prevented the people from traveling into the polling stations. And then, listeners, he said, part of the complaint is that when the boxes with the votes, ballots were being transported, his representative wasn't there, and they took a route that, was not the usual route. Yeah, and what? And what happened by virtue of that happening? So the police and the EOJ, the electoral workers who were traveling with the ballots, they also corrupted the process. So they drove to behind Billy Black's Plaza. Morning, Billy Blacks. Don't mean for you as use an example, but you know the thing go. They stopped behind Billy Black's Plaza and they opened the ballots in broad daylight. And they take out of them for take out and put in of them for put in to ensure you lost. I spent 23 minutes one morning going through in detail the history of the seat, the voting, constituency by division by division, over about 4 or 5 elections. Everybody in the seat, well, Patrick Roberts was in the seat before you. Patrick Roberts did better than you, and he still lost handsomely. You are no Patrick Roberts. And you got beaten like a cheap rug. And rather than move on, this national charade, this national jackassery, Paul Buchanan style, has hopefully come to an end. And as the court said yesterday, Sir Buchanan, with respect, go find something to do.